Western ethos is you will be happy when you get the money set or they achieve this crap. And one thing I told Safi is, how much you achieved? I mean, look at your bio there. You're already at 99.999 on achievement. So I said, what you're going to be happier when you get up to 99.9999? At a certain level, it gets wacky. What's the difference? Now, back to this thing's not being correlated. I got another question for you. This relates to the concept of soldiers and artists. And I love this because it's back to being correlated. So many people are trying to make artists soldiers and soldiers artists at the same time. You have a different attitude. Share that with us.
Yeah, one of the things I write about is there's so much focus on culture. When I first started as a CEO, I read everything I could get my hands on about how to be a better leader and a manager and so forth. And all of that stuff was about culture, culture, culture. Yet you would read these things about this, CEO saying, actually, the head of Nokia, Martin was just telling the story, just before the iPhone was talking about, what a great culture, and that's how we're so innovative is the great culture. The head of BlackBerry said that, the head of Blockbuster, the head of Enron, the head of G. And then, 1 week later, the company's gone. So how could it be all these people talking about what a great culture and people writing about their culture, and then 1 week later, you read in the same newspaper, in the same journal, the company's dead? And so what I focus on is structure. And to get to your point, Marshall, you can think of, actually, you know what? I have a prop. I don't know how many people are visual, but this is a glass of water. When I stick my finger in, and I can twirl it around and the molecules just slosh around my finger. And that's true for every liquid all the time, except when I lower the temperature. Right at 32 Fahrenheit, there's a massive change inside this glass of water, and the liquid suddenly freezes, and I can't put my finger in anymore. Why? They're exactly the same molecules. So why do they suddenly change behavior? Now you can think of culture as that behavior. Are the molecules sloshing around, or are they totally rigid? And you can think of structure as what you do to change the temperature. And here's why it really matters. So many CEOs are like, okay, everybody, let's sing Kumbaya and hold hands and innovate faster and better. That's like going to a block of ice and yelling at those molecules. Okay, molecules, just loosen up. Right. Well, how much is that going to do to the block of ice? Well, nothing. But you know what will melt that block of ice? A small change in temperature. Small change in temperature will melt steel. And so that's called a phase transition. And so what I write about is how you get phase transitions inside of organization and what are the underlying forces. But the big point there is the artists and the soldiers. The artists are the ones you can think of who are working on the new, who are focused on the crazy new idea, and you want them to fail. You want them to try lots of stuff that fails. The soldiers are focused on time, on budget, on spec, right, delivering consistently to customers with quality. Right. Now, you don't want them to fail. You don't want the guy working on parachutes to say, let me try some experiments, go up, and we'll see if it works. Right? No, you want the parachute to be made the same exact way, but you want the artist to try lots of stuff, because if the artist isn't trying lots of stuff, isn't going through the 9 things that fail, you'll never discover that 10th thing which changes the world. And you know who will discover it? Your competitor, or in the military, your adversary. And you'll see it when it's too late, when it's a bullet coming to your head. So learning how to love your artists and soldiers equally, understanding that they're different. So those two groups not only don't understand each other, they very often don't like each other. The group that's making the money rarely likes the group that's spending the money, and vice versa. Sometimes true in personal life, but that's a totally different topic. Right. So what you need to do is learn how to love your artists and soldiers equally, understand that you will always have this tension. They speak a different language. The English word risk, 1 word, 4 letters. It's a terrible thing to a soldier. You want to de-risk the battlefield. You want to improve your quality metrics. You want to decrease failure rates. But it's a wonderful thing to an artist. Imagine going to an artist and saying, you've really taken the risk out of your work. Well, that's an insult. Right. But it's a compliment to a soldier. These are 2 different languages. So CEOs and leaders who at the top are thinking like, I'm the chief innovation officer, everybody innovate, are making a mistake. They're saying, you guys, you really want the solid, the focus on time, on budget, on spec, and you want the liquid sloshing around, the crazy new ideas. If you tell everybody to be both, what do you get? Slush. You get a Slurpee. You get a gobbledygook mess where they're trying to be both artist and soldier, both liquid and solid. So that's kind of about the artist and the soldier. And one way I like to think about it, and then I'll stop talking and go right back to you, is the beautiful baby problem inside organizations. Artists think of their creation, and John, who's on our call, will be speaking next. It's a perfect person to talk about this, and he understands this deeply, I'm sure. Artists see their new creation as a beautiful baby, full of potential, whether they're biologists in the lab working on a new drug, or engineers working on a new code, or someone designing a coffee machine. Artists see their work as a beautiful baby, full of potential. The soldier sees a shriveled up raisin covered in vomit and poop. And that's the problem. Beautiful baby, vomit and poop. And they are both right. You want both inside your organization. You don't want to get rid of that tension. You want to lean into that tension. And your job as a manager or leader is to manage the touch and balance between your artist and soldiers. You want to be a gardener managing those two ecosystems, not a Moses standing on the top of the hill like you read about in most business magazines, anointing the chosen project. So love your artists and soldiers equally. Be a gardener, not a Moses. End of story.